Okay, cool. So now we're recording audio and video. So this is Casual with Ryan Proctor, and I want to welcome Kaylee to the show, but it's episode 24. But Kaylee, I don't know your last name.
It's Dreger.
Dreger. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So, and do people call you doctor?
Yeah, I go by just my first name, so Dr. Kaylee.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And you're a doctor of naturopath. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, naturopathic medicine.
Naturopathic medicine. And so it's ND, you said, right? So the MD?
Correct, yeah.
Cool. And we've been talking before the show a little bit, just kind of get to know each other because I don't really know you very well. The first time I met you, you were doing a nutritional speak for Sitka in the village. I thought it was super informative.
Thank you. I'm glad.
And because I don't know what I'm talking about. I probably forgot all of it because I don't have a good memory. But I'm just stoked to have you back and chat today for sure.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So just a bit of background on you. I know we talked about it earlier, but so your, I guess, educational background.
Mm-hmm.
You said you went to 2 different schools.
I did. So to get into naturopathic school, you need to have an undergrad degree first.
Okay.
Mine is in kinesiology from the U of A in Edmonton.
Okay.
And then I came out to Vancouver and went to the Boucher Institute of Naturopathic Medicine.
Cool. You said that's in New West?
In New West, and
Okay.
did another 4 years there.
4. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that kind of like going to college still? Is it like smaller? It seems like it'd be like a really small.
Yeah. So, I mean, total different feel from undergrad to the medicine program.
Right.
My cohort for this one was 28 people
Wow.
versus 200 person
Yeah.
lectures in university.
Wow.
So you really, it's almost like going back to high school where it's like you have your 30 people and you're with them 6 hours a day,
Right.
5 days a week.
That's kind of cool, I guess. I mean, you get to meet people and kind of get to see more of like a community than it is like have a sea of people.
Yeah.
Probably better teacher time too, right?
For sure. And that's why I actually chose this school. There's 2 in Canada, so Vancouver and Toronto.
Okay.
The Toronto school is a lot bigger, and their cohorts are that 200 person
Right. Okay.
classes. But because the program is so demanding, I got into both schools, but I chose to come out here for the scenery and location.
Yeah, for sure.
But also because of that class size, and you
Right.
get more one-on-one, and
Okay.
the professors know you as your name versus just a number.
Hey, you. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Can you go to like, I'm kind of pretty naive here. I don't know a lot about it. So can
No,
you
it's okay.
go to, so there's only 2 schools you said in school in
Canada.
Do other universities teach this stuff?
They're all, in Canada, they're
accredited?
both private schools.
Okay.
And then I think there's about 9 in the States now.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, the schools here aren't offered like at UBC with their medicine program.
Okay, fair enough.
So my school was just strictly naturopathic medicine. There's no other programs that are offered
Okay.
with it.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it does sound like a pretty specific field. So, and I guess it's growing. So
Yeah.
it's probably not a lot of, maybe in 10 years we might see it in different schools, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. What got
That's
you
the
in?
hope anyways.
Yeah, what got you into it? What was it?
My
Something
own
triggered you or just?
kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, my own health issues at the time.
Mm-hmm.
When I went into my undergrad program, I was always planning on doing something afterwards, and I was thinking physio for the longest time.
Right.
So between my undergrad and coming to school out here, I did work in a physio clinic for a year.
Right.
And applied to that program. But I never got in. It's really competitive to get into physio.
I bet.
So then I was just kind of looking at other options, and was kind of had gone through my own kind of health transformation through my undergrad degree.
Okay.
And conventional medicine didn't really offer me any support or help. And I ended up fixing it on my own through diet.
Right. Okay.
So I was kind of already interested in that alternative side of things. And then I found this program and was like, this seems awesome.
It's cool that you kind of had to choose like to kind of use nutrition to kind of help you or fix whatever was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a way to actually go and be a profession. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. That's like you can follow that.
For sure.
'Cause it gives you motivation and drive to do it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It makes you more empathetic for those patients coming in because you've gone through it yourself.
Sure. Yeah. I guess this is perfect because talking about diets, I guess, something just popped in my head. I've heard about this like elimination diet where you, like Jordan Peterson, this guy that I listen
Mm-hmm.
to, he talks about elimination diets. He eats like meat and salt and water. I think that's all he eats because he had like whatever, something autoimmune disease, autoimmune disorders and stuff. And,
Yeah.
people have things like if it's asthma or eczema or something, or like skin conditions or whatever it is, or chronic fatigue, I guess, you can fix, or you can potentially fix a lot of stuff with just diet, right?
Absolutely.
And so, I guess if somebody's like, I'm having, all I eat is steak, and I'm not sure what's wrong with me. Say I have like a skin issue. I want to figure out what the issue is. So I cut out everything.
Yeah.
And start from zero. Mm-hmm. Like what's zero? Like water?
So there's kind of two ways to assess somebody's food sensitivities.
Okay.
The elimination diet that you're talking about is very reliable because you're basically going to put someone back to a very specific, they're only going to eat very few things that they can kind of sustain their metabolism and their nutritional status on. And then, so you've cut out everything that they could potentially be reacting to, which is causing their skin irritation or autoimmune condition or whatever that may be. Yeah. And then kind of one by one, you gradually reintroduce certain foods, and you wait 3 days after introducing that food. Because a sensitivity is different than a true anaphylactic allergy. Okay. Where that anaphylaxis, so if somebody eats peanuts and they're allergic, then they're going to like swell up right away or within 12 hours usually. Okay. But a sensitivity, somebody can react up to 3 days after eating it. So that's what makes it really hard for some people to identify what they're sensitive to when they eat something and then 3 days go by, they eat 9 more meals and then they have a reaction. So they're like, I've just eaten 30 plus different foods. Like I have no idea what caused that. So in the elimination diet, you take everything away and then you gradually
bring it back,
bring things in one at a time after 3 days, as long as there's no reaction in that time.
You leave it.
So it's really, useful and accurate because you're just doing things one at a time. Right. But it's extremely time consuming.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so how do you know what to start? Like how do you know, like if someone say I got inflammation in my skin, let's say, do you have there's an idea like these kind of foods, these specific foods like say wheat or whatever, and them kind of cause this? Yeah. So let's pull those out first.
For sure.
Not put those in until the very end again.
Yeah. So I mean, a lot of people don't want to go straight to that elimination diet because it is like it is hard to do and it's so restrictive. Yeah. So then the next option that I do with my patients is I eliminate the top 5 allergens right away, or we can do food sensitivity testing, which is a blood draw. We send it away. It tests for either from 120 to about 200 different foods, and then you get a lab result back of low, moderate, or high reactivity.
I had that done actually because I went into anaphylactic shock out for a run just across the street here like 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah. And I blacked out and my throat closed up and stuff. And I made it home. I crawled home pretty much. And then, I went to the hospital and they were like, yeah, you had an allergic reaction to something. Okay. And I went to a lady and I didn't know, I don't think you were out here then, so I didn't go to you, but I went to a lady in Squamish. She did the test for me. It was like, blood test. And then like, I think some skin stuff too. Like the scratch test, I guess, to see what it was.
So that's more for like the environmental allergens.
Yeah. Because they didn't know what it was. So I kind of just went down, like I was out for a run. So they didn't know if it was like food. Because I didn't really have anything new to my diet that I had thought of. I couldn't think of anything that I knew to my diet. And then I've had seasonal allergies as a kid, and I had asthma and stuff as a kid and everything else. And I went to naturopathic, and I went to like medical doctors. And no one could figure out the problem. Because like we don't know, unless you take everything out of your diet, start eating again, and it never, it happened a bunch more. Like I kept running and stuff. It only happened when I ran or when I got like
sweaty.
Yeah, so they were like it could be like exercise-induced anaphylaxia, or this one called I don't know. I think it's urticaria, like something.
Urticaria is like hives. Essentially.
Yeah, but there's something where you get it where you're like allergic to cold.
Okay.
Like you have like an allergy to like your body creates histamines when you get
exactly.
cold.
So the histamines are what is going to release. Those mast cells are going to release histamine, which is going to cause that reaction in the body.
Yeah. And the reason why, so I'm getting back to the reason why I didn't do the elimination thing is because I just felt like so overwhelming. Yeah. I was like, I don't know I don't even want to start this.
Totally.
So I just kind of like, I'll just get an EpiPen and just deal with it. And it went away over time. I don't have it anymore, but it was really strange. Yeah. And it only happened when I exercised, so I didn't think it was food related. Yeah. But I guess it could.
It probably isn't then.
Yeah.
But so if people don't want to do that and they don't want to jump right to the blood tests, then eliminating those top 5 allergens, which is usually going to be dairy, corn, eggs, wheat, and sugar. So I will take all 5 of those out for people and then assess how they're doing over the next 1 month, 2 months. If it's still not improving, then we can go on to the next step and do more in-depth testing.
And so like sugar, I mean, that's pretty much eliminating everything anyway. I mean,
anything processed. So that's kind of like the whole goal, right? Is to eat like a whole foods diet.
Right.
So any vegetables, meats, fruits, and all of that, but you're taking away processed and packaged foods and anything with those like additives to them. Speaking
of that, so the Canadian Health Guide that they just came out. I know you're smiling about this. It's I know there's like it's a political thing right now, like getting political about like the Andrew Scheer guy wants to change it if he gets elected and stuff. Is that food guide like, I don't know, it just looks like food to me. It looks like it looks. Do you take issue with like the current one, or is this something that bothers you at all, or does this just like whatever you
the old one I think was definitely an issue.
Okay. Cool.
But the new one that they've come out with is, I think, a lot more well-rounded.
Right.
They had different experts. There was a couple of naturopaths actually on the panel that helped develop the new food guide. And it took them a long time. Like, it wasn't an overnight switch.
Right.
But the old one there was tons of dairy in it.
Yeah, right.
So, and that's because it was funded by the dairy industry.
So I just saw this in the news that the dairy industry is kind of pissed about the fact that they said consume water.
Yeah.
And like, as consume water as a drink, and like the dairy was mixed in with proteins.
Sorry?
Was the dairy not mixed? Like, was the dairy not mixed in with like it was like meat and dairy and like all mixed in?
Like on the old one.
Yeah.
I think it said like for people to drink like a glass of milk or however many glasses of milk a day and eat like have yogurt and cheese and dairy was a specific portion of that food guide. So you had X amount of servings per day. Now I saw the new food guide when it first came out, but I haven't seen it in a little while. I think dairy is actually like eliminated from the food guide now, or it just says like in moderation.
Okay. I thought it was part of the protein section.
I mean, so there is protein in dairy for sure, but you shouldn't be getting all your protein from dairy sources.
That'd be gross. Yeah,
totally.
That'd be gross.
So the new one is just more well-rounded, and it's saying, for those 6 to 8 servings of fruits and vegetables a day, you want to have at least 6 of those as vegetables. Right. Okay. Because there's still a lot of sugars in fruits.
Yeah. I mean, there's sugar pretty much in vegetables too, right? I mean, there's sugar everywhere.
There is sugar everywhere, but it's different than that like processed.
Of course, for sure. Yeah.
Sugar.
Right.
Yeah.
I just made cookies the other day, and I used this brown sugar with molasses kind of mix. It's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
My go-to is maple syrup.
Oh yeah, it's super good, right?
Yeah.
What do you mean, like in cookies and stuff, or baking?
Basically, like maple syrup's kind of the only sweetener that I use.
Oh really?
Yeah.
You use honey?
Super casually.
Is honey kind of bunk? Is it a real thing? Or people like talk about honey? So I'm getting off track here, but is honey? People talk about honey being like super good for you, and like it heals wounds and stuff. Like it's like
honey's awesome. I just prefer the taste, and like for baking wise, I like maple syrup better. Okay. But honey can be really good, especially if you're getting an unpasteurized one that's from the local bees in your area. Yeah. So for people with seasonal allergies,
it helps you. Oh, you heard this. So yeah. Go ahead. I don't want to interrupt you. You're the expert.
People with seasonal allergies, a lot of the times it's like from those pollens from the plants that are going in bloom in the spring. So if you eat a local unpasteurized honey from your area, those bees are pollinating those flowers that are causing the pollen, which you're reacting to. So it's actually helping you build up a tolerance. Right.
It's like snake venom. Give you a little bit of it at a time.
Yeah.
Like when I was a kid, I used to get needles for allergies like once a week.
Yeah.
I had like every little bit of allergy I guess I could possibly be allergic to in it. And I didn't do it because I was like, this is stupid. But it actually...
Too many needles.
They said over time, yeah. Well, only those ones, yeah. But over time, they said you could stop and you wouldn't have allergies anymore.
Yeah.
But I guess it would regress over time, right?
I mean... In some people, possibly, but the whole point of that is to build up your body's tolerance. So then you're building antibodies to those.
Your body gets used to making them and just keeps making them. Right.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I heard about honey before, but I didn't know I have really bad allergies. I should probably start eating honey. I didn't know about the unpasteurized or the local idea. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You want it to be local because obviously there's different plants and vegetation all over the place.
Right.
So if you're reacting seasonally to this area, then you want to get something that will help you develop that tolerance to these plants and flowers.
Do you deal with seasonal allergies? Like, as people come in to talk to you about trying to get is that like part of your program?
Yeah. I mean, I don't,
it's kind of hard.
I never like turn anybody away.
Sure.
I have those special areas that I like to focus on in my practice, but going through school, everybody comes out with the same kind of bag of tricks and things that we can treat. So that's very much within my wheelhouse of what I do. Right. It's not necessarily something that I specifically like advertise that I focus on, but I can definitely help people with those issues.
I think allergies are like a labyrinth that nobody, in my opinion, nobody knows how to treat. Like, nobody really knows how to stop them.
And everybody's different, right? So what helps one person isn't going to help the next, even if you're allergic to the same thing.
Right. So talking about allergies and diet and stuff. I mean, we live in Whistler, so everyone's like everyone's trying to stay in shape, and people do it pretty well. But we always hear about, like, go to the gym. We always hear diet is like 80% of, you make abs in the kitchen, that kind of stuff, right? And besides like people's effect, like people reacting to the food they eat as far as allergies or whatever. If we're talking about like people trying to eat a lot because they don't want to gain weight, or they try to like eat specific, obviously certain kinds of foods, or eliminate certain kinds of carbs and stuff. But I'm curious if, like, all these changing in diets and things that we go from diet to diet, to try to keto, then you try like a veggie diet, and then you try to go just all, say paleo or whatever it is that's got to be hard on your system to, like, if you're not sticking to a certain diet, or like how long should you try a diet for before you should, like, say it's not working for me? Is that,
again, everybody is different. So for a lot of people, they have to go through trying those different types of diets to figure out what works for their body type and what their goals are. Right. Okay. So sometimes it takes them 2 or 3 tries and maybe a month or so plus on that diet. Some diets you can definitely do long term and make it more of a lifestyle thing. Some are more of like cycle in, do this for a while, then kind of. So like keto is probably a cycle in, cycle out type thing. Because I feel like that's pretty. It can be hard on the body, and you want to give your body a break. So for my keto patients, usually I'll have them do it for a certain amount of time, and then let them kind of be a little bit more lenient on what they eat and go more towards like a paleo style diet. Right. Because I've heard that when you switch, if you don't like, keto's a diet I've heard that I tried it once, and I got into ketosis. I got little strips CP on, so I tried those. But I've heard that you can't just switch off it. Like, you've got to wean yourself off keto, or just kind of your body reacts and starts to like counteract. I don't know if it's true or not, but. Well, with keto, it's a process to get into ketosis. It takes a while, because especially if it's the first time that you're trying it, it can take people up to 2 weeks of being on that diet to actually get into ketosis. It's frustrating, yeah. So your body's trying to use up all of its glycogen, which is the storage form of glucose. Right. It has to use up all of that first before it can then burn fats. Okay. But once you've been in it for a while, then it's a lot easier for the body because it's used to burning fats for energy. Right. You can cycle in and out. So say it's Christmas or something like that, and you want to have Christmas dinner. Right. Maybe a couple days before, you like gradually increase your carbohydrates a little bit. So then you can come out of ketosis. But then say after Christmas or whatever the event, you can get back into it within maybe 2 days versus 2 weeks. Okay, right. And then what's the difference between paleo and keto? Is there a big difference? You mentioned you might move somebody from that to a paleo, so I was curious of the difference. Yeah, so I mean, there is kind of different cutoffs for what keto is. Traditionally, it's eating that really high percentage fat and very low percent carbs. Yeah. And protein kind of stays the same. So typically if you're eating more than 50 grams of carbohydrates a day, your body's going to be burning carbs for energy.
50 grams? It seems like that's so easy to eat 50 grams of carbohydrates.
Yeah. So it's like, it's a very small amount.
Yeah.
And a lot of those carbs are in vegetables.
Yeah, right. Oh my God. Really? I no wonder I couldn't stay in keto for very long.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So once you're above that 50 gram mark, then you're likely not in ketosis.
That's frustrating. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just a number, right?
Sure.
So it's different for everyone, and there can be wiggle room, but as like a general rule,
right,
I kind of go with that 50 gram.
So is keto kind of like how much of certain foods you're eating, and paleo is more just the type of food you're eating? It's more like just like you only eat certain kinds or a certain like non-processed whatever kind of food or whatever. But keto's, you're kind of like trying to hit certain levels of.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. And keto, you're trying to get your body into ketosis.
Right.
So burning those fats for energy,
right,
versus burning sugars for
right.
energy.
And is that, as they talk about the keto flu?
Yeah.
It's kind of like.
So that's usually more in that first 2 weeks when your body's maybe not fully into ketosis.
Right.
So your body's kind of like, okay, well, I'm still burning carbohydrates, but they're decreasing. So it's trying to find that secondary fuel for energy. And that's when people can get really lethargic and have headaches and kind of experience like, it does feel like a flu.
Man. And then you got to say, no, this is what, and just fight through it and just,
yeah.
Man. And it wasn't there for too long. So I didn't really feel that. I didn't come out the other side feeling way better, but,
you don't have to experience the keto flu either.
Yeah.
Like some people can.
Right. Okay. I definitely just feel like a bit of it. It was a long time ago, but so if in paleo you're still consuming like breads and stuff, right? Like grains and things, but it's still not processed food, right?
Yeah, exactly. So paleo is more of that like ancestral type diet. So proteins, lean meats,
like caveman diet.
Yeah, vegetables, and then you are having grains,
right?
But you're not having the processed.
Would you say when you eat bread?
I mean, yeah, some people could eat bread.
Right. So it's just more of like, I'm confused then.
Or maybe like they're having like rice or quinoa as their grain. Those are still carbs.
Right. I thought for some reason paleo didn't include bread. Just you had to eat the raw form. Like you had to eat like.
Some people do. So again, some people take it to the extreme. Sure, they won't have. Right.
I'm thinking of like the ultimate definition of what a paleo diet is. It would be like, no.
Yeah, maybe more so no.
Right.
No grains.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then, if we talk about that, those are kind of like high meat diets. I guess not high meat, but like they include meat and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
People take like supplements, that kind of stuff, like just straight up veggie ones to try to get their protein from other vegetables and other parts, which you can obviously. But do you think there's, in a diet that's strictly veggie,
mm-hmm.
Not so much vegan, I get that, I understand the vegan stuff, but like more veggie. If you like, how do people get to? You're missing out on certain proteins, I would guess, if you're not eating meat.
Not necessarily. So
there are ways around it.
There's absolutely ways around it.
Okay.
Meat is going to have all those essential amino acids, which mean meat is a complete protein.
Mm-hmm.
So those certain amino acids that are going to be in those animal products that aren't in vegetarian sources, but there's going to be all those amino acids as the building blocks for those complete proteins when you combine. So when you combine certain vegetarian sources, then whatever's missing in the one is going to be in the other. So then you do have a complete protein. So
you're like trying to you need more variety of the food to eat it to get that same complete protein.
Yeah.
Right. So there isn't
people eat a lot of vegetarians will eat rice and beans. Right. So combining those two, then you're getting a complete protein source.
Right. So in those, you're just basically having to like really, as far as the vegetarian goes, if you want to get all your nutrients that you need, you really have to figure out all the different foods. You have to experiment with different kind of foods and just like learn what's out there. It's so much. Like I always thought, if I don't eat meat, I can just eat beans and get that same protein. It's not close to that, right?
Not quite. It is a little bit more complicated than that. But for people that are vegetarian, I mean, even my patients that aren't, I just tell them what the goal is to eat that whole foods based diet.
Right.
So eat the rainbow. Once you have those like colorful veggies in your diet, plus quinoa or rice or whatever it is, then you should be getting enough of like nuts and seeds as well. Then you're getting a wide variety of antioxidants, proteins, and vitamins and minerals.
Right. I always feel like a veggie diet is just too hard because you have to learn how to make so much food. Like you have to know like so many recipes because you're like, I can just put a burger on the on the grill or whatever, put something in the frying pan, eat it. And
okay,
then, like,
but
potatoes
what about if you're putting just a burger? Like, do you do a salad with it?
Yeah, sure. No, salad and probably pickles and everything else, tomato stuff. But like I feel like with veggies, you can't just eat like. Maybe it's kind of naive of me, but I feel like it's harder to collect all the different ingredients that are going to give you that same nutrients and just make it into something that tastes good. That's all, like, it seems like it's so. I'm just thinking a lot. It just seems so hard to like take a veggie diet and get the same nutrients because they make so much.
Yeah, I mean, for some people, it probably could be definitely,
right.
But for the people that like cooking and
sure. Right.
they're not picky with what they eat. They go to the grocery store and they kind of like choose different vegetables each week.
Yeah.
And they're not restrictive on that side of things that they're taking in, then they shouldn't have a problem.
Right. It's pretty easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just me. I mean, I like to cook, but I'd rather I'm not against either one. I don't eat that much meat, but I definitely eat it, but I'm not trying to like be a vegetarian.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not trying to, eat only meat, but I'm just curious about the different.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like, so many opinions, and you just kind of have to try the diet that works for you.
Yeah.
And it's hard because I think people want the outcome of, usually it's weight loss for the most part. And when they don't get it, they get off the diet right away. But then because some of those diets seem harder to maintain, it's even harder to stay on it to get that, so you don't get the effect at all.
Mm-hmm.
So like, especially like when you're CPO at the gym or people eating all these things, everyone's got their own opinion. It's hard to filter through it all.
Mm-hmm. And for those people, that's where you have to go back to what their goals are.
Right. Yeah, totally.
So for maybe people in the gym that are doing all that bodybuilding or heavy weightlifting, their goal is most likely strength and building muscle, versus a lot of other people that's going to be weight loss.
Right.
So putting those two people on the same diet when they have complete opposite goals,
it's a bad idea.
You're not going to get anywhere. They're going to be very unhappy.
Can a bodybuilder, let's say somebody wants to go for strength, can they survive on a, like you see like things like Vega and stuff, they make their own like plant protein. I have hemp protein there, which tastes disgusting, but I think it makes me sick today. But do they, can you sustain a bodybuilding like life on a veggie diet?
Yeah.
Like it's really like no. You have to eat so much food already. There
are those athletes out there that are completely plant-based.
Right.
Do they? It takes more, I would say, more time and food preparation. Mm-hmm. But you can absolutely get. Right. And I mean, most of us are getting more protein than we need, anyways, right? So even if you take out, say, you're eating meat at one meal a day. If you take that out, you're likely getting enough protein. If you have that well-rounded food exposure, you should be getting enough protein anyways.
Right. And people get addicted to things. Like I understand people you have an addiction to like fat. People get addicted to certain kind of foods and grease and stuff. And like, how do you, I don't know. I find like I just get trapped. I'm like, I'm going to eat pizza and it's all I can think about. And I'm like, I go and eat it. I'm like, I shouldn't have ate that, but I ate it because I just had waffles 2 hours before that. So I think to have these highs and lows, is there certain foods that you can eat, regardless of your diet, whatever it is, that you can eat that can help you with hunger swings or with these impulsive like decisions to want to eat something fat or greasy or salty or whatever?
So for people that are having a lot of those like carbohydrate cravings, so pizza or pasta, we get hungry when our blood sugar drops. Right. So when our blood sugar goes below that normal range that it should be in, then it signals the body, it makes you think that you're hungry and you need energy fast. Right. So energy in the body is sugar. Sugar in nutrition is carbs, essentially. Mm-hmm. So that's why you're craving those carbs.
Right.
But they're metabolized really fast. So they'll spike your blood sugar up. They'll
Mm-hmm.
give you that energy right away, but then they'll drop it just as fast. So
And
that's why if you ate waffles for breakfast, then 2 hours later, you're like, I need carbs again. And so if you're only eating like one type of macronutrient at a time, then that's when you're going to get those cravings because your blood sugar isn't stabilized.
Right.
But if you combine fat, fiber, and protein at each meal, then your blood sugar stays stable longer.
Right.
So you're more full longer essentially, and you're not getting those cravings for carbohydrates.
It's so tough, man. Yeah.
But like, okay, so if you have waffles for breakfast, putting like a nut butter with them or like some kind of protein and fat with it, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Versus like a waffle with whipped cream and syrup.
Whatever. Yeah. Right.
Right.
Course,
like if you add that good protein with it plus fiber, then you shouldn't be getting as many of those.
Right. So again,
cravings.
it's just making that rounded meal.
Yeah,
so you
exactly.
don't have the same things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard because I feel like if those things taste so good, like you put pizza and pepperoni and everything on a pizza, but it's missing a lot of things. Everybody thinks like pizza's a good, well-rounded meal. It's obviously not, but like it's just one of those things people trick you to think that it is, so you can feel good about eating it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If someone is a vegetarian or someone's eating meat or whatever, I think of people talk about inflammation a lot, on how foods can cause inflammation and creates, whether it's arthritis or joint pain, that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't really know how do people know they're inflamed? Like, how do you, like, so if someone's like, what are the symptoms of like general inflammation? I don't know, this is a dumb question, but like,
no, not at all.
if there's foods that can help me combat inflammation, how do I even know that I'm inflamed? Like, how do I?
It depends like where in the body you could be experiencing it. So for a lot of people up here in Whistler that are of that athlete type, they probably have more physical inflammation than say like somewhere internally.
Right. So you can have like an organ inflammation, let's say, right? Or like,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Or even like when you're sick, so then your throat and like your respiratory system becomes more inflamed and irritated.
Right. Okay.
We were talking earlier about leaky gut, like that's inflammation within the gut, right?
Yeah.
So depending on, say you have digestive symptoms where your bowel habits are off or whatever, there's likely inflammation going on there.
Okay.
So you treat that differently than you treat a physical joint inflammation.
Because it's almost an autoimmune, right? You have to find out, we have to like kind of eliminate, are we back on elimination diet type thing again for that?
You don't have to do the specific elimination diet, but we do have a specific anti-inflammatory diet.
Okay, right.
So that one, you're going to be cutting out dairy specifically in the body is really inflammatory. Mm-hmm. So you cut out dairy, again, all those processed foods, anything that you could be sensitive to. So if you already know that, I mean, okay, you can eat wheat, but sometimes it doesn't like really bother you, but sometimes if you eat it every day, then you're going to react. So you eliminate those things that are bothersome to you, or again, cut out those 5 top food allergens.
So everyone knows cause them.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's an old guy I worked with when I worked at Arc'teryx, old guy. He's like, he
the
told
old
me,
guy.
Yeah, he's a legend there. I won't say his name, but sorry, he's an old guy, but he's a good guy. He was saying that he had like arthritis in his knees, but he cut out eating dairy and it went away. Yeah. He was like blown away that it changed.
Dairy.
Now he eats carrots as loud as he can eat them, but yeah. He said like it was a few years ago. He's like, I cut out cheese, I cut out dairy, and like my knee pain went away.
Dairy is a huge source of inflammation in the body.
But
then you can add in things like different herbs. Curcumin is an awesome anti-inflammatory. So cooking with that as a spice, lots of antioxidants. So again, those are going to be your like bright colored berries and fruits and vegetables. Okay. All those things can help decrease inflammation.
Right. So they help inflammation go away rather than just cutting it out to stop inflammation, right?
They help treat it and can like, if the source is that dairy and you cut it out, then you kind of figured out the root cause of what's giving you that inflammation. But you still have to do that kind of investigative work to figure out where, like what the actual cause of the inflammation is. But diet is always going to be a foundational part of treatment, in my opinion.
Because I'm always curious, like someone says, okay, take an Advil or take a Tylenol to decrease inflammation, whatever it is, or take whatever it is. But I can't just go and eat like a cup of blueberries and have my swelling go down. Like, but I guess I could. I don't know. Like, I mean, I feel like it's got to be something where you can't just feel that and then fix it with this and go back to the way you were. You've got to, like,
in my opinion, it's about those lifestyle changes.
Sure, yeah, that's
right?
what I mean, yeah.
So a lot of people do want that quick fix when they have a headache or a sprained ankle. Yeah, they're going to take that painkiller.
Yeah.
But if you have those really good lifestyle habits in place where your diet is on point and you are eating that cup of blueberries every day, whether it's in your smoothie or in your oatmeal or on like whatever, you're getting that cup in every day. Then your body is set up to fight inflammation like kind of before it hits, or it'll hit you like with less intensity.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I get that. It makes sense for sure. I mean, I'm not trying to get around eating healthy. I'm just curious because I feel like a lot of people are just looking for that quick fix, and you can't just go and drink a smoothie to feel better for the rest of your life.
For sure. It has to be like part of your daily routine.
Yeah. Do you have any tips or tricks on how to make that work? Like how to keep people from dipping away? Like I know, like to say meal prep and like shopping and stuff, but how do you like? What's a tip for? Just I don't know. How can you make someone crave broccoli? Is that possible? Or like, I don't know. It just seems weird. Like I'm not.
Over time, it happens over time. Your taste buds change once you get away from those like processed sugars or foods that aren't helping your body.
Sure.
Then your taste buds change and you crave those healthy foods.
It makes sense for sure. Yeah, I gotta change my habits a bit. I guess. We talked about. Different diets and different, obviously, I touched on protein a little bit, and I'm curious if I don't know how much you know about like protein powders and that kind of stuff, and I'm not going to get technical with it, but I'm curious if the body can absorb, we talked about say bodybuilders and athletes using veggie diets and non-veggie diets, whatever, and you say they can perform at the same level. I'm curious if there are certain proteins that absorb into your body faster that hit certain or hit you better. So if it's a veggie protein or a soy protein or like say hemp protein or whatever, I guess is it the term bioavailable? Is that the term? Like, are there better ones for different things? They're all kind of like.
For most people that are athletes and they're looking to improve their strength or muscle mass, most of them are choosing that whey protein, which is from milk. So it's an animal source of protein. But that's not to say that you can't use hemp protein, pea protein, soy, all of those. Right. They're still proteins, but you're gonna get a higher
uptake,
maybe output from the same amount of both proteins.
Right. So you're saying you have to potentially take more of like say plant-based proteins.
Yeah, and I don't know that for fact, but like because the whey protein is going to be more of that complete protein, then it's for people that are trying to build that muscle.
Are there other things that are key in muscle building? If this is out of your expertise, for sure let me know, but I'm not trying to build muscle, but I'm just trying to keep it while I get older. But are there other things that other nutrients I guess that are as key to protein for muscle building that kind of go hand in hand? Because I feel like everyone I gotta get protein. I feel like I gotta get protein. I get a protein shake. And I don't think anybody looks at the ingredients that are with it. Most of them have a lot of sugar in them, so avoid that for sure. But some of them have also the essential acids, amino acids beside it, but they don't. Some of them just don't list anything. So I'm just curious if there's like if you need to have like an entourage effect. Yeah.
So I mean, for a lot of those protein powders, like I don't use them in my practice. Specifically because a lot of them do come with, you look on the ingredient list and there's so many additives in there that the body doesn't need. But for those people that want that, like in the afternoon, they're in a hurry, maybe they're not using it every day, or maybe they are, you can absolutely do that. But yeah, protein is one part of the picture, right? Yeah. So you still need the rest of your macronutrients, which is going to be those carbs and fats. Right. But protein is going to help you build muscle more so because of the amino acids, because they're the building blocks for that.
Right.
collagen and vitamin C are helpful in that process too, because when you are building muscle, you're actually damaging that muscle so that it can repair itself, enabling it to grow.
Vitamin C, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah. Think people get enough vitamin C in their life?
I
think it feels like people don't.
If you're eating a lot of greens, there's tons of vitamin C in
really?
greens and vegetables.
I thought it was oranges only. I thought it was other like citrusy fruits, but
so like broccoli.
Oh, it's got vitamin C.
Tons of vitamin C.
Vile weed.
Spirulina is one of those superfoods you probably heard about.
Spirulina, isn't that like super bitter, or what is it?
I mean, it's an algae, so it tastes like a bit like the ocean, maybe.
Gross.
Cool. But people put it in smoothies and you can have the taste. Some people don't mind it at all.
Okay.
There's tons of protein in that too.
Yeah. I've heard seaweed is super good for you.
Yeah.
Is that what spirulina is, you said? It's not really seaweed, is it?
It's not really seaweed, but it is an algae.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
So within the same realm.
Right. And wouldn't it like be high in salt? Like, isn't that the whole point of seaweed? Or like salt's not, like salt's in a lot of things too, obviously, right?
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's like, between salt and sugar, those are two, I guess, like as far as processed, they seem like poisons to people.
So anything in your packaged food, the salt in there is going to be the salt that you typically want to stay away from.
Right, okay.
But if you're doing like home cooked meals and you're adding in salt after the fact from a nice sea salt or Himalayan salt, it's a different chemical formula than that table salt.
Oh, really?
So it actually doesn't have the same effect on the body. So having that sea salt is fine.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
For sure. What was I asking about? So proteins and then veggies. So I guess if there's no like nothing that's, if you're eating protein, you're getting your vegetables, everything else. Are there anything that you can be doing that's like people consume a lot of, like, obviously drink a lot of water, but is there are there things that you might like and say, I don't know, there's got to be good things in so you're drinking water with like lime and what else is in there?
I have rosemary.
Lemon and rosemary.
And lemon, yeah.
So these small things that we do like the day, like if we drink lemon or water with lemon, and we drink like, I don't know, like I drink just straight water a lot of the times. I don't drink a lot of other drinks anymore.
Yeah.
Are there things like, is that lemon and lime, or so that lemon, it's like that for flavor, or is there actually a benefit to having that little bit of amount in your food all the time?
Both. It totally makes the water more palatable, so you can drink more.
Which is funny because we have to make our water. I like drinking sparkling water now. It's funny, I have to change water.
But in the summer, you want to add, especially when you're sweating and you're going to be losing those electrolytes, you want to be replacing them.
Because it's not just water, you use like sugars and salt and everything, right?
Yeah.
Right. So like if you're like exercising a ton in the summertime, you could be drinking a ton of water, think you're being hydrated. Yeah. But you don't have any sugar or salt. You're just plowing through that, right?
Exactly. So you're actually not replenishing as well as you could or should be.
So is that like people drink Gatorade and stuff? Is that like, it's not good for you?
But that's why they drink the Gatorade is for that electrolyte recovery. But you can make your own.
Sure. Yeah.
Gatorade. So just doing a citrus plus some Himalayan salt again.
Right.
And if you're working out and you're burning those, burning energy, then you can add in a carb into that water. So say it's a teaspoon of maple syrup or honey or whatever. So you're not making a super sweet drink. Right. It's just a lightly flavored water.
To kind of replenish.
Exactly. So you're replacing those carbs and the electrolytes, the potassium and all that. Mine is just lemon right now and rosemary, mostly just for flavor, but rosemary is a herb that is for circulatory support. So it increases blood flow to your brain. Yeah. Helps you retain information and think better, right? So doing a podcast, I need to think on my feet here.
You know what? It's funny. I take these this 360 mushroom. It's got lion's mane and like 10 other different mushrooms in it or whatever, and I take like 3 of them a day. It's supposed to help with like energy and like cognitive function. Yeah. So that's something I never really thought to ask you.
Oh, it's not on our list. We can't talk about it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay, moving on.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, yeah, no. It's something I meant to ask because I'm curious of it because people talk about microdosing outside of these things of like, psilocybins and everything else, cannabis stuff. But I'm curious if I see these things called like these drinks or mixing powders called a Hana, I think it's called. There's like a company that makes some like nutrient, you're supposed to drink it. But then the one I take is, I don't know what it's called. It's on my shelf now, but it's like a 360 mushroom. It's like 10 different kinds of mushrooms. It's supposed to help with like cognitive function. Is that so? I don't know if that's placebo or how it actually works. There's probably some science behind it, but I feel like it does work for me, these things. But yeah, what are some of those typical things that you would say, like when you talked about the rosemary, for example? Are there certain herbs that stand out to you or that that are you would prescribe to someone who's like feeling tired or feeling like their mind's a bit foggy or something?
Yeah. So botanical medicine is a huge part of what we learn in school and the way I practice. Yeah. There's so many herbs out there and they all have different primary actions. When you put them with multiple herbs, then you're kind of playing on their primary, secondary actions. So for herbs that you really want someone to increase their memory or their cognitive support, that lion's mane is going to be really good. Rosemary is good. Ginkgo is awesome. So they all support circulation up to the brain, which is going to help you remember. Right.
If you add that with like, it's like fish oils and fatty acids are good for your brain too. Would those be things you would recommend combining? Like probably, I don't know if you can combine them, but like things like avocado and stuff.
Yeah. So those healthy fats, I mean, everyone's going to have their own specific treatment plan when they come in and see a naturopath. But there's so many different things to help support cognition. And you're just going to target whatever you prescribe based on what that person needs. Right.
I kind of feel like when I hear about people talk about like fatty acids and fish oils and stuff, it's kind of like oil for your squeaky brain.
Yeah.
Like it helps smooth it out a little bit. I don't know if that makes sense. But then when I think when somebody talks about mushrooms and stuff, even though I understand I get that some of them are psilocybins or psychoactive, but I'm always curious with the mushroom side of things, if they all have that small kind of psychoactive effect that you don't notice. Because if it's helping you think better and stuff, like it's got to be doing something for you internally. I'm just curious, like how much of that could be placebo? How much? I mean, its placebo effect's pretty real.
For sure, in anything, not just in.
That's what I mean, like in everywhere.
Yeah.
So I was curious about the inflammation thing, and I meant to jump on this a little ago. We talked about eating foods that are maybe, if you tell me I'm going to eat something that's good for that's going to help me with inflammation in my body, and as a doctor you tell me that, am I going to equate all of my success to that whatever I just ate, or is there going to be a placebo effect for even something like inflammation? You think that's like,
I think you can't say A equals B in anything that we do. So there's a therapeutic triangle, so mental, emotional, and physical, and then diet plays into that, right? So whatever the person's primary concern is that we're trying to treat, you can't only treat it with diet. You can't only treat it with an IV. You can't only treat it with a prescription. Right? Like that's only going to target and possibly touch on one aspect of that condition that they're concerned about. So you have to look at the person as a whole and treat them in their entirety.
Sure. Okay. That makes sense.
So it's a combined like group effort in all aspects of that person's life, which is contributing. Their mental state and like what they believe in the effort that they're putting in and how their body is responding to what they're doing plays a huge factor in their success.
Sure. So it's individual. Like people can, like, I really believe in this rosemary and mushroom concoction I made, so my brain's going to get better. It's going to get better because of the ingredients, plus it's going to get better because I'm going to have a more positive thought about it getting better.
Yeah. And you know that you're hydrating your body and you're putting like really pure organic like ingredients in, right? Like you're supporting your body, not just with fluids, but with nutrients that it could potentially be deficient in.
Right. What's a good lubricant for like joints and muscle stuff in your body? Like if as far as food goes or oils or whatever, is there something that's like recommended for like, what is it, glucosamine or something was good for joints and stuff? And yeah.
So for a lot of people with bad knees or whatever, any joint in the body, glucosamine and MSM are really good. But
what's
then
MSM?
What does it stand for?
You don't know.
monosodium or...
That's okay.
I'll get back to you.
Okay, sure. Yeah. We'll look it up.
But it's another, support for joint tissue.
Right. Okay.
But that collagen and vitamin C is going to be really helpful as well.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about like things that are good for you and like adding things to your diet to make you a better operating machine.
Mm-hmm.
But then, there's also people who talk about like the minimalist of trying to do like say a cleanse, for example, if I can jump to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm curious about cleanses because I've done that before. And you're taking notes? Oh,
no,
cleanse page.
I'm flipping.
Sweet cleanse page. I mean, there's tons you can do. There's like the wild rose. There's like the one where you just drink water and cayenne pepper and your maple syrup and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But people talk about like, you evacuate things that's been there for 30 years or whatever. And I'm just kind of like, it seems like hokey, but I've tried them before. And it seems like it's more for me, it adjusts the way you eat rather than actually being beneficial for you. Like it adjusts your mindset on eating less and then it does actually fix you.
I mean, a cleanse can mean different things too, right? It doesn't always have to mean that you're only doing a water cleanse or that cayenne maple syrup cleanse, right? Like you can decrease some of the things you're eating, but you're adding in certain other things. So you're increasing your hydration so that your body's able to eliminate better. Maybe you're sweating more. You're also going to the saunas. Like you're kickstarting those detox pathways to get rid of those toxins.
Right.
When people say they're doing more of like a juice cleanse, so they're not eating solid foods, that gives your digestive system a break.
Right.
So you're not, you are like cleansing it out. You're giving it a chance to rest because it's
usually high in fiber when you do like a juice cleanse, right?
Juice cleanses are actually not high in fiber because I mean, if you're doing,
you scoop it out, you take it all out, right?
You're taking all the fiber out.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Because the fiber's in the like bulk of the pulp. Exactly.
I've heard that actually before. That's better to drink like a blended drink than a smoothie or than a
smoothie instead of a
drink.
juice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it leaves all the fibers and everything else behind.
Exactly. And the fiber is what you want to stay regular. And that's what actually cleans your bowels and your digestive tract.
Right. I've heard pepper does that. Is pepper bad for you? I've heard like really coarse ground pepper is not good for your digestive system. It's kind of...
I don't know if it's like specifically bad, but pepper is actually really good if you have inflammation when you combined it with that turmeric or curcumin.
Oh, okay.
So that turmeric needs the pepper to be fully activated in the body.
Okay, cool. Cool. All right. So you need, it makes sense. You have certain ingredients need to go together. Yeah. So if you're just eating turmeric, it's T-U-R. There's an R in there, right?
Yeah.
Turmeric. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you're just eating that and no pepper, it's kind of...
You're getting benefits, but you're not getting the most benefit that you could.
That would taste disgusting. Pepper and turmeric. I mean, you've put in something obviously, but like...
So some people do like a turmeric ginger shot with fresh cracked pepper on top.
Ah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you make tea, the heating and cooling, I know that sometimes when you cook food, if you steam vegetables or you boil them, they lose some of the nutrients into the water, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So if you are using these ingredients, should you try to keep them in their raw or like ground up form or whatever, or can you cook with them and it still has the same effect?
For which specific?
Like turmeric or pepper or something like that that's supposed to be good for inflammation or something like that.
I mean, those can stay in their raw form for sure. But for some of those vegetables that you're talking about, sometimes lightly steaming them or cooking them actually helps the body to digest them because they're softer. Right. But if you are going to steam your vegetables, what I like to do is either save the water that they're being steamed in because, like you said, they're going to lose those water-soluble nutrients out of them. Yeah. But then if you save that water, all those nutrients are in the water. You can put that in your smoothie in the morning. Ew. It doesn't taste like anything.
Oh, like if you boil broccoli or steam. Ew, okay, yeah, sorry.
Or like if you're making a stew in the summer the winter or something, then you just use that as your soup.
Like a chicken broth. It's like a soup. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I was like, ew. That's rude. Yeah, I've heard that a long time ago where if you cook the stuff, you can cook the nutrients out of it, but I didn't know that sometimes it can help. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, more again, for some of those people that have digestive concerns where they need to be a little bit more cautious about what they're eating. Mm-hmm. So eating a strictly raw food diet is really hard on the digestive system because it has to completely break down all of those fibers. If you do like a roasted squash or sweet potato and you have that added into your salad or something, or like a lightly steamed carrots and vegetables, then it's a lot easier for your body to break down and actually absorb those nutrients.
Like, do you think over the last like however many thousands of years, humans have like we've become less able to break, so like a caveman diet, for example, like paleo type thing, whatever. I'm talking about cooking foods and you're saying it's easier to digest. Do you think that our human bodies have just become like shittier at processing the food that we used to eat, like when it used to be raw? Because like at some point we never cooked food.
Yeah.
So are our bodies like just
I
degraded?
think our bodies are totally readjusting and evolving based on the foods that we're eating now. And because that standard American diet has so many processed foods in it with additives and preservatives, the body has no idea what to do with that stuff because it's not real. It's not real, and it's not what we should be eating. Right. So now it's trying to cope with, what does it do with these additives? Like it doesn't need those for energy. It doesn't need them for anything. They end up like sitting in your system and the body doesn't know what to do with them, right? So it's coping with what we're now eating as our standard.
Right. Do you think food stays, so like when I was a kid, I only ate hot dogs and crap dinner. That's all I ate. So do you think that stays with me the rest of my life? Do you think there's parts of it where it's like I say, if a pound you gained when you were 5, you think if you're say you're 20% body fat your whole life, is part of that, I don't know if you know this, it's part of that body fat, the fat you gained when you were 5, and still the same piece of fat in you 20 years later, if you're always 20%, or is it like rotate?
So you never actually lose fat cells, you can only gain them. But how people lose fat is that they shrink.
Oh, okay.
So once you've gained,
is that why it's easier to gain weight? If you lose it, you can gain it again easier?
I don't know for sure if that's the reason, but it probably plays into it.
Makes some kind of sense.
Yeah, totally.
I'll write that down. Yeah.
But yeah, once you gain fat in your body, you can't actually lose that fat.
Unless someone sucks it out.
Cell.
Unless we get like lipo or something.
Yeah.
That sounds
you
so
physically remove it.
That's crazy to me. You know anybody who ever had lipo before?
No.
Super weird. I'm sure I know somebody who just doesn't say it.
Well, actually, I have had one patient who's had it.
Sometimes there's the point where it's like you need to have it. But I guess I've watched TV a few times, and sometimes I've saw that like if you, even that they have to, like they talk about My 600-Pound Life, those TV shows, and I'm not making fun, I'm just saying like the person had to lose weight before they could do the surgery. Yeah,
because they're unsafe. Like it's unsafe for them medically to have that procedure before they've lost some weight.
But it's that's cool. I didn't know. It's not cool. It's interesting to know that you don't actually lose the fat cells; they just get smaller. Wow, shit. So how do you gain it? Like if you,
like how do you gain fat in the body?
Yeah, like how does it your fat cells get bigger?
Yeah,
but you don't gain more fat cells, do you?
No, you can. That's the thing. You can gain fat cells. You just can't lose them. They only shrink in size, and you can gain fat. If people are eating too much protein, protein in the body is stored as fat.
Okay.
So if it's not being converted into those muscle tissues and repair, protein is what you need to repair injury in the body.
So a high protein diet doesn't always mean it's going to be like a lose weight diet.
Exactly. So unless you're really working out hard and you're using that protein to repair and to build, if you're just eating a really high protein but you're not utilizing it, the body is going to store it. That's what it does. It stores energy, right? But protein is stored as fat.
And what's the ideal amount of protein per body weight or per pound or something per people? I guess it depends if you're active or not. But if you're just like a regular person, like goes to the gym a couple times a week, what's the average?
Yeah.
It's like a gram of protein per body fat.
Pretty close to that. So it's for your average person, you want about 0.8 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. So round it up to
The 2
1
pounds in a
1
kilogram?
gram, 2.2 pounds is
right.
1 kilogram.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So I mean, you can round that up to, if you know what your weight is in kilograms, you can say I need this many grams of protein per day.
Right. It's so funny. That's like an interesting. I didn't realize that protein it could be like bad for you. Not bad for you, but
not bad for you, but yeah,
it can do the opposite.
when it's stored in the body, it can.
I
be
guess that's the
stored
whole
as
thing
fat.
about keep eating a rounded diet. Then the whole point of like.
Yeah. So eating that just meat diet, maybe it's working for him, but
it can't be long term.
But it can't be good for everybody, right?
And
everyone needs different things.
And if someone's taking supplements, say like pills and like to kind of boost up what they think they're not getting, how effective are humans at recreating these proteins and packing them into pills to make them as effective as they would be if we ate them naturally? Does that make sense?
Like how
effective are these pills? Like if I'm taking a vitamin C pill, for example, or vitamin C, like a effervescent tablet I put in water, compare that to eating the equivalent of oranges or whatever it is I need to, or like, greens and you have a vitamin C.
Yeah.
How effective is that is that vitamin from that man-made source compared to like?
It depends on where you're getting it from. So there's professional grade products out there. So ours are called nutraceuticals versus pharmaceuticals.
Okay.
Professional grade products versus something that you can get at Costco.
Okay.
Right? So something that you can buy off the shelf, you're getting it for a really good price, but it's going to have that extra added list of ingredients and fillers in there that your body doesn't need.
Right, okay.
A professional grade product is going to be
just
like a very clean supplement. Yeah, you're usually going to pay more for it, but it's going to have, a lot of people take magnesium.
Right.
But magnesium comes in lots of different forms, and something that you can buy just say over the counter is maybe going to be a magnesium citrate or malate, which is good for certain conditions, but for people that are taking it for like muscle soreness or to help them sleep.
That's what it's for. Okay, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, magnesium, we all need magnesium. It's used for lots of different things. Yeah. But a lot of people take it to help them sleep at night, and when we are super active in this like Whistler lifestyle, people get really sore. So taking magnesium at night helps with that muscle soreness. Right. But if you're not taking it in the right form, then it's not doing its job. So getting that professional grade product where it's magnesium glycinate that you're actually after. If you're buying it from Superstore or wherever, like you're getting potentially the wrong form. Right. So now you're not spending that much money on the product, but it's actually not benefiting you anyways.
So minimal as far as the amount.
Exactly. You need to take like 8 times their recommended dose to get
the make it taste good isn't going to work.
Yeah.
Right.
So you still have to do your research or like ask those questions of like, I'm going to take this supplement, but is this actually the right one for me?
Are there supplements that can help? I think I got sidetracked here. But are there things that can help? Like I talked about mood and stuff. So we talked about inflammation. Other supplements you would say like vitamin D, I guess, is something that can help your mood. Melanin, I guess if you want to sleep type stuff, but
melatonin for
What's
sleep.
melanin? I don't know if melanin's a thing.
Melanin is the pigment.
Oh, right. Skin. Sorry. Yeah. Awesome.
When you get nice and tan.
Thanks, Doc. Yeah. So, are there things like that you can take that are like mood enhancing?
Mood
I know we talk about mushrooms and stuff, and me trying to take them for like energy and focus, that kind of stuff. Is something that can like, make you feel happier?
Yeah. So that vitamin D and those omegas, so your fish oils.
Okay. And I guess anything kind of a cognitive support system probably make you feel happier. Right?
So for
B12.
Any mood
B12.
conditions, you always want to treat the gut and the brain.
Okay.
If someone's coming in for a gut condition, you also want to treat the brain because they go hand in hand.
They do, right? Yeah. So gut health. So that's a good question because I heard about this. And gut health is so important for your brain, which it's strange because like I wouldn't put a slice of pizza in my brain, but I'd eat Tate slices for my lunch. So that's a real connection, huh? Like that's
yeah, for sure.
Really. And then
and you like when people get that gut feeling and then like that is real, your body is communicating through your gut.
Right.
Your gut has its own like nervous system. It's called the enteric nervous system.
It's called nervous system.
Yeah, it's called the second brain.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because like when you get nervous, you get butterflies.
Exactly.
But when you get hungry, I guess you get a headache.
You can. Yeah, like when your blood sugar drops.
Yeah.
That headache can be that symptom.
That's really cool. So yeah, gut health. Like, I've had some rough gut health today, but I'm curious of like, if I've eaten like tons of vegetable stuff and like it's upset my stomach, or I've eaten like a lot of fruit and stuff and upsets it. There's a max, but I feel like those, I feel like whenever I eat a lot of vegetables or a lot of fruits, I feel more adverse side effects than if I eat like a ton of meat. Yeah,
sometimes it can be because maybe you are eating them in that raw form, because it is hard for your body to break it down and all that fiber. Yeah. And if you're not used to eating that like super regularly, if one day you eat, that's all you eat is raw veggies, then definitely it can be hard on the digestive system.
So what's a good, so gut health, is there like, are there things that you can take that are like, we talk about fish oils for coating your brain and things like that to make your brain less squeaky. Are there things that you can eat that help kind of
heal the gut?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's tons.
Right, tons. What are the top, I don't know if there's 100, what are the top like 5 or I don't know.
Something that's really good is bone broth for the gut.
Right, okay.
So if you've ever you can buy it or make your own.
You boil bones, right? You just boil bones.
You're essentially making like a soup stock, and then you strain out the bones and the herbs and the vegetables that you put in there to flavor it. And then you can add turmeric into there. You can add other like herbs that help heal the gut.
Okay.
So it's extremely nutritive and soothing to that digestive lining.
Is that why you're supposed to eat chicken soup when you feel sick or something? Is that just this is way offside?
I mean, yeah.
Kind of.
That plays into it.
Okay, right.
Yeah. Like if you have an upset stomach, or people typically go for like ginger ale. But it's ginger. So ginger is a carminative herb, which means it's soothing. Right.
But now like ginger ale, you got to get like a real ginger ale.
Yeah. I mean, in the can, a soda ginger ale is not going to do anything.
Yeah. When I was a kid, my mom used to like stir it and make it flat, and I would drink it. Oh, but I guess when I was a kid, they might put real ginger in that back in the day. I don't know.
Maybe. But yeah, so like nowadays, if you just slice up ginger and put it in like hot water or whatever, or you can even just chew on a little piece of ginger. Right. It's really soothing to the stomach and the digestive system.
Is that a big thing in sushi? Is that because fish is raw and can make you feel sick? So you ginger too as well? Does it kind of clean your palate and stuff?
I think that's more for like the palate cleansing. Right. Yeah. But it still has its medicinal properties to it, right?
So you think like ginger,
that's more for like you're acutely sick. So today when you ate and didn't feel well, if you went and had ginger right after that, or peppermint tea is really good for that too.
Peppermint tea, okay, right.
But more like long-term gut healing, you want to remove any irritants. So if you know something is irritating you, so again, those food allergies, you want to take those out.
Right, okay.
Then you want to replace anything so it's the 5 R's. So remove irritants, replace any insufficiencies. So whether that's hydrochloric acid in the stomach, so if you're not able to properly break down foods, you want to give the body back what it needs to be able to break those down. Any other digestive enzymes. And then repair that digestive lining. So the bone broth comes in there, and then glutamine is an amino acid, which is awesome for the gut.
Is glutamine? I see things like L-glutamine.
Yeah, that's the same thing.
Shit, yeah. Okay, because I heard that was a big thing in workout people. Glutamine was big.
I mean, glutamine's really good for repairing the
like
digestive lining.
Oh, okay.
But it's an amino acid, right?
Okay,
so, yeah.
It's so strange because like I've heard these things like leaky gut stuff. We talk about like I was like curious, like I'm like, oh, maybe I have that. I'm like, but then I read about there's this doctor I saw, and I always think it's shady when I see a doctor online. He's like, hey, follow my, then listen to this video now. Click through to here and sign up, and it's a big long. They never get to the actual results. Anyway, I feel like leaky gut it's not like you don't have a tear in your stomach lining. You don't like leak into your body, do you?
So what happens is it's caused from inflammation. Right. So leaky gut is inflammation in your digestive system. And the cells in our gut are, they basically fold together like puzzle pieces.
Okay.
And those are called tight junctions between the cells. And when there's inflammation, then they get irritated and they start to separate. So this is what leaky gut is when there's like a window screen spread apart. So normally if those cells are held together nice and tight, only the most broken down particles are able, if on my side of this is your digestive system, on the other side is your blood. Right. So you're the blood, I'm the digestive tract. Yeah. And there's just this one wall separating us. Yeah. Only the smallest broken down pieces are able to get from me to you because these cells are held together so tightly. Right. And then once they're in the blood, that's how they circulate to the rest of the body to give us energy.
So if the holes are too big,
then larger food particles are able to get through the gut into the blood.
Right.
And once they're in the blood, then the body doesn't recognize them because they're not broken down far enough. So it recognizes them as being foreign and it mounts an immune response against them.
Okay, cool. And that sounds to me like, actually, can you sort of like just put it straight on here? Yeah, that's better. Cool. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, cool. My bad. Yeah, because I've watched this thing. I don't know who I just went some rabbit hole, I guess, on Facebook. Some ad. I was like, it's got to be what I have. And it was like, I didn't realize that that's I thought it was more like some kind of like just like a term that they use, but it actually is that. And can that be? I mean, how small of an issue can that be where you don't know it's the case, but it's affecting you? Like, do you know? Like, it could be probably pretty minute, still be a big issue.
It can be. I mean, it can start off small, and then depends how in tune you are with your body, right? Like, you're gonna want to first, when that starts to happen, it can affect your energy, it can affect your mood, it can affect your sleep, your bowel habits. Like, it can show up in lots of different ways. It can show up as a skin irritation or a rash or something like that, because it's a reaction in the body, which can manifest itself in pretty much any way. Yeah. So as long as you're in tune with your body and you know, like, okay, this isn't normal. I don't normally like have toss and turn in the night when I sleep. Like, that's how it could manifest for you. Or it could be you eat something and it goes through you right away.
Right. Because then, so like, I was thinking it's not about Crohn's disease. Mm-hmm. That's not leaky gut, but that's still something where it's mostly stomach, right? Where you just can't digest like the fibers and fruit and vegetables and stuff, or? Yeah.
So that's that's going to be an autoimmune condition where
you can kind of fix that with diet potentially.
Diet is, you can't really get rid of that, but yeah, it's going to be treated with diet.
Okay. Yeah,
and those people have to be really careful about what they eat. And
yeah, like I know it's kind of sidetrack, but what's that? What are they? When you have Crohn's disease, what is, like, I had a friend who said he had it when we were back in Ontario like 20 years ago, but he just seemed to lose a bunch of weight. That's all I noticed.
Yeah. So
is it like
there's different types of Crohn's too, but basically, they're not absorbing nutrients. So if they're not absorbing nutrients, then their body can't.
It's kind of dying. It's
exactly.
Like, fuck. So yeah.
So then they lose weight really fast, and for a lot of those people, they can have 8 to 20 bowel movements a day, really watery. Like, it's just, they're not holding on to any nutrients. Right. They're super weak because they're not getting anything out of the food that they're eating.
Right. Is that where something where, like, segueing here into something that I noticed, is that where something where like IV therapy can come into play, where like okay,
absolutely. So for anybody that has that digestive concern where they're not able to absorb nutrients, they still need those nutrients, so getting them a different way is going to be more beneficial to them. So IV therapy is replacing those nutrients, but you're bypassing the digestive system. So normally when we eat food, it goes into the digestive system, is absorbed from the gut into the blood.
So you put it right in the blood.
You put it right in the blood. It bypasses any of those issues that could be happening in the gut, and it's going directly into the blood, where you now have...
You just like blend up a smoothie and put it in a syringe, or what?
No, that would be dangerous.
Yeah, okay. So how is it like... Yeah, so is there like different bags of food for different people who need different things? Like...
Yeah. So in my clinic, we've got individual nutrients in vials, and then we mix up the bag right on the spot for them.
Right. Is that like a regular, like, I mean, I've had IV before where I felt like, you know, you feel sick and you feel dehydrated, you go to the doctor, they hook you up and stuff.
Yeah.
Saline solution.
Yeah.
So you would mix it, but is that typically is the amount you would give them different? Or you'd say, here's a bag of saline and it's like once a week, or is it like when they feel shitty, or as prescribed, I guess?
As prescribed, yeah. So for my new patients, I usually get them to come in 3 weeks in a row, 1 week apart, so that we can build up their nutritional status. And then from there, I usually say, like, come back based on how you're feeling.
Right.
Whether that is they notice it first in their sleep or their energy starts to dip again, then they can come back and get those nutrients replenished.
What about somebody who's like a really high functioning athlete, like say like a marathon runner or whatever these people do next weekend here, Ironman, which is a huge feat, and people get frustrated with it, and I think it's crazy, but I think it's a really strong thing to do, and it's like commendable. But I'm not gonna get that political meltdown right now. But I'm curious if somebody's like a high functioning athlete, they don't have any perceived or any like these aren't the best for your back. Sorry, these stools.
That's okay.
We'll be done here soon. Would you say the IV therapy would be beneficial to somebody who's a very high functioning athlete to get that, like, to really jam them full of these things they need? So do you have people, it must be athletes that come to see you like that want that?
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
So you can either come before your event for like pre-hydration and energy support, or they can come after once they've done that 6-hour event or whatever it may be, and they're now super dehydrated, they've lost all those electrolytes and their body is kind of in recovery mode. You can replace them then, so you can do it on either end of that event. I
have 2 more questions for you.
Sure.
One is when you talk about dehydration and people come in to see they're not feeling very as healthy as they could be, they don't feel up to their normal health. What's the kind of the general number one thing that you end up finding? They're dehydrated, or they lack of certain nutrients, or is it people like is there a not an easy fix, but are people misdiagnosing themselves and coming in and say, all you gotta do is drink more water and you'll be better off? Like, is there like a number? Is there like what do you see the most that comes in?
When I do my specific IV shifts at my clinic, a lot of those people are coming in really low energy and high stress.
Right. Okay.
So yes, it doesn't matter what bag of IV nutrients we give them, they're going to get that hydration, because hydration is just the volume. It's not what nutrients you're adding in.
Sure. But hydration is a huge factor in a lot of people.
Oh, for sure.
Right. Just basic hydration.
Yeah. Basic hydration.
Do you think most people are dehydrated in general?
I think a lot of people that are coming to see naturopaths aren't dehydrated because they're already like aware and open to the idea of alternative medicine and like healthy living.
Right, okay.
So a lot of my patients do already drink a lot of water and don't drink they drink coffee, but they don't drink pop or like extra things like that.
Right.
But for the general public, for sure, I think people are dehydrated.
Someone told me, I'm not gonna say who it was, a good friend of mine told me that it's better to drink smaller glasses of water on a regular basis, stay dehydrated, than like chug a bunch of water. Yeah. So it's true.
It's based on your kidney filtration.
Right. So if your kidney can only filter so much, it just kind of pushes a ton out because it can't deal with it, right?
Yeah. So if I were to drink this whole jug of water right away, I would have to pee within 15 minutes. But if I drink it over an hour and sip it, then your kidneys have the time. You might never have to pee. You'd still have to pee, but the volume of pee would be less.
Oh, okay, right, okay.
So if you drink in like smaller amounts more frequently, then your kidneys have more time to filter that fluid and hold on to more of it.
Okay. Right.
But if you overwhelm the kidneys with too much volume at once,
like open the gates,
then it just is like I can't keep up, and it really like lets go of it into the bladder. So then you have a larger volume to get rid of.
Right. Okay.
Faster.
All right. Cool. Okay. Another thing. I think the injection therapy is kind of cool. We have 2 questions actually.
Okay.
So injection therapy, is it, I mean, I understand kind of the base around it. But is it, I mean, I've been in hospitals before where I couldn't eat and they just gave me IV. I never felt hungry. So how does that like, and my roommate was in the hospital a couple weeks ago, like last week. He had dehydrated. They took him like 2 bags of saline solution. He's like, where does it go? Like, how do I, like, if I'm just putting solution into my bloodstream, how can I absorb 2 liters of that stuff with, like, I couldn't drink 2 liters of water and not feel the same. Like, how does your body absorb that kind of amount of fluid?
Like when you're getting it through the IV.
Yeah.
So it's not absorbing it at all because you're putting it directly into.
It goes into your veins, right?
It goes into your veins, so it's in your circulatory system.
Right. Okay.
And dehydration is based on your blood volume.
Right. Oh, okay.
So when you're really dehydrated, the volume of blood that you have in your system decreases, and that's when you get headaches and you're not peeing, and if you've like done an event where you've just sweat or you're outside in 30-degree weather, you're going to notice that in your blood volume.
Right. Okay.
When you're hungover, you're dehydrated, right? And you get that headache. It's because your blood volume is lower than what it should be. So when you give someone an IV to replace that, you're essentially just replacing that loss of blood volume.
So if someone just, they're not dehydrated, they come in, you just give them more. Can you overdo an IV? You must be able to overdo an IV.
Yeah.
And just flood the body. What happens?
You
spray out your pores or what? I don't.
You have to be careful for sure, and that's why we do an assessment every time someone comes in, right? Because you need to make sure that their kidneys are able to compensate that extra volume, and their heart.
Right. Okay.
So you can give them fluid overload, or give them like fluid or like speed shock.
Like you put too much water in a water balloon and the balloon blows up.
Yeah.
Essentially, but can hold a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like IVs can be very helpful, but they're still
in the wrong hands.
They're still can be dangerous, right? So
I always feel like
that's why you should come to a trained professional. Don't do it yourself.
Yeah, because I've had IVs before, and you can just feel like that whole, like, as soon as you get them, within a couple minutes, you just feel your body go, like, just feels like this weird rush.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's in it. I've had them before. It just feels like, I was always curious, can you have too much IV? Because I feel like, where does it go?
Mm-hmm. So the other thing in the IVs too, it's just water soluble nutrients.
Right.
Unless you're getting that straight saline bag for rehydration. But in our clinic, you can't put fat soluble vitamins, which are stored in the body, in an IV.
No, because it just won't work.
It won't work.
Oil and water won't mix, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So, it's just water soluble.
That sounds deadly.
It is.
Yeah, it is deadly. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, right. Okay.
That's the issue.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, so it's just water soluble vitamins and minerals. So your body takes up what it can at that time, and then whatever it can't take, you pee out.
Right. Okay. Right.
So that's why usually after getting an IV, people have to go to the washroom right away because they're just getting rid of any excess. So you need to make sure that the kidneys can actually filter to get rid of it, so that you don't overwhelm them with fluid volume.
Right. Can you pretty much give any vitamin or any mineral through an IV? Like, are there any things you can't give IV other than like fat soluble things?
So those fat soluble things, I mean, you can give amino acids in them.
Is it like a kind of a multivitamin in a bag?
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. Cool. Vitamins, minerals, amino acids.
Okay. Cool. Mm-hmm. Okay, I have another question. So, I just hear this a lot because I watch a lot of podcasts. As people get older, obviously our bodies start to either produce less, or they slow down, or we don't metabolize things as fast. People lose testosterone and everything else. And as guys get older, are there any ways like to naturally boost male testosterone?
Yeah, those herbs.
Right, certain herbs and certain
herbs. Yeah.
Okay, right. So when someone goes, here's like, we feel like a supplement, it's like a testosterone booster. Is that, that probably they're not all the same, but in general, would they be something, if there was a naturopath, would you be able to provide or say like, hey, here's this supplement that's going to help you, like your testosterone level low, or would you say just take these roots and vegetables together, it's the same thing?
Yeah, you're going to get a higher concentration in that like pill supplement
form.
But
you don't actually get the testosterone, you give somebody things that
things
help
that are going to help
create it.
Exactly.
Right.
So you can do hormone testing beforehand to see if they're actually low in testosterone or where in that hormone cascade,
Right.
it's being blocked off,
Right.
and then you treat according to that.
Right. And for females, the same thing with estrogen or something? Can you do the same thing? Like it's the same with minerals and stuff?
Yeah.
I always thought it was like testosterone replacement therapy. And I always thought like they just give you testosterone, but I'm like,
medical doctors that's within their scope to prescribe testosterone.
Yeah.
Naturopaths, that's not within ours. So I can't prescribe testosterone, but I can prescribe other bioidentical hormones. So for my menopause patients, I can prescribe them estrogen and progesterone, but we can't do testosterone.
Okay. So, because I thought my understanding is that if you raise testosterone levels too high, a male body will just create estrogen what's the other one? Not estrogen, but the one you just said.
Progesterone.
Yeah. Your body would produce more to counteract it because you have too much?
Yeah. So
it's
again,
kind of a fine balance.
All the hormones communicate together and they all come from like one source. So cholesterol, a lot of people think cholesterol is bad in the body, but we need it. It's basically the backbone of all of our hormones.
Right.
And it's a whole cascade. So one leads into the other one.
Right.
So for women, we're going to make more estrogen and progesterone. Men are going to make more testosterone. But if you give more testosterone and they have too much, then it's going to shunt to that other pathway.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I hear about these testosterone replacement things a lot. I'm always curious. I mean, I'm getting older, but I was curious, like because I always thought you just gave someone testosterone, like in steroids or whatever, you give these things, but then it's not just giving them testosterone, it's giving them the ingredients to make it.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, cool.
I mean, you can do both.
Right. But yeah, so I'm not going to get too much, but like if other times you're like, look, I can't help you, you have to go see a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
You must have that like on a regular basis. I mean, you do your best, but you're like, I can't fix this broken leg with a,
yeah,
I mean, obviously, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, I mean, naturopaths really excel at those chronic conditions. Conventional medicine is awesome at acute emergency stuff.
I do think I kind of think they can both go hand in hand. You have to have both, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That's for sure my philosophy is that there's a time and a place for both of them.
Right,
like
okay.
coming to a naturopath with a broken leg is not the smartest thing to do, right?
Wrap
like
this hummus around it, yeah.
Come and see us after if you need surgery or you have that cast on and you want to prevent inflammation and you want to.
I feel like you guys are more
after the fact, right? It's for that. We're good at that aftercare. I feel
like you're like, here's how to continue to prevent these things, like not broken bones, but like, here's how to keep a healthy level. Yeah. And then go see these guys when something really bad happens. Yeah. Because that makes sense. Because I know there's a bit of chat about that in the media right now, but we don't get to get into that. But
naturopathic medicine is like the foundation is based on prevention versus symptom management. It's a lot easier to prevent something than to treat it once you already have it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up here, but do you have anything you want to cover? Anything we didn't talk about? I thought that you wanted to say.
I don't think so.
No. Do you have like, other than, hey, everyone stay healthy, what is your like top, do you have like how does someone just, I don't know how to say this. What's your top 2 tips of staying healthy for somebody? Like drink lots of water or like make sure you exercise or like eat tons of turmeric or something. You know, all those things I'm sure. Sleep, yeah? Yeah. Oh, yeah. How does sleep play into nutrition? Like if you're hungry, if you're tired, you kind of feel hungry. Like sleep must be a huge part. Like how do you guys prescribe sleep to people?
Yeah. If people have like poor sleep hygiene, sleep and nutrition are so foundational. Right. If those aren't on point, then it's going to shift everything for you. Right.
And so speaking of that, just maybe forget about fasting. I've been reading things about different fasting stuff. I'm going to get into sleep in a second, but I read about you fast for like 16 hours a day or something, right? Mm-hmm. You kind of pick your eating window. Yeah. It seems to be the eating window is later in the day. So the ones that I've seen, the suggestion that I've seen is like, don't eat until lunchtime type thing, right? And then eat until 9 o'clock at night. Yeah. But what if I go to bed at 10? I want to eat and go to bed an hour later. It seems like I'm going to be laying on my, it's like, I mean, obviously when you're in a fasting, you don't want to eat pound food, but I feel like that's like if that window is the 8-hour window, why would a lot of suggestions be later in the day? So you don't go to bed hungry? But then you're just laying on your food.
Yeah, you shouldn't be eating like a large meal right before you go to bed either.
I did that last night, for sure.
Maybe that's why you got sick today.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
Sometimes people are choosing that later window more for like the social aspect.
Oh, okay, right. It's a mental thing too, right? Obviously.
Yeah. A lot of times people find it easier to wake up and like get going with their day and they don't notice the hunger right away.
Right.
And then later in the day, if they choose that eating window, sometimes it's because people more so go out for dinner with friends than they do breakfast, right?
Right.
So if you're not eating dinner, then maybe that's awkward.
Right. Yeah. You're like, when you're not drinking.
Yeah.
So as far as like healthy ways to live and ways to eat, do you, is like 3 meals a day, or do you recommend a certain style of like, if someone had to use the word diet,
yeah,
do you recommend a certain, I don't know. I mean, in the perfect scenario, someone's
like one size fits all.
Yeah. Like I want to go on a diet and everything's fine with me. Just, I want to lose weight, but
Yeah.
I know autoimmune disorders, my skin's fine, everything else. What would you suggest? Keto, fasting, obviously exercise and everything else, but like, what is like, the general best diet
for someone that wants to lose weight? If they have weight to lose, then I would usually start with a keto diet for them.
Okay. And then, but on a regular eating schedule.
Oh, just for regular eating?
No, but you would say keto, but you wouldn't say keto and fast. Sounds tough. I don't know.
Again, it totally depends on that person.
Okay, fair. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you can never give that one size fits all to everybody because
Good to know.
they have different jobs. They have different stresses in their life.
Right.
Some people might sleep 6 hours versus 8, their life is so different from the next person that comes in that has that same goal of weight loss.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to give them a different treatment plan or a different diet in some way that is right for them and their needs.
Right. Right. What do you think's worse for you? If you're overweight and you're stressing on your heart, or if you're stressed and you're not overweight and you're in shape? You think stress is worse on you than being like...
Than physically being overweight?
I mean, if you're like, it's obviously a threshold.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're, if you're not in the best shape, but you're not stressed, is that worse? Is that as bad as being, moderately stressed and in shape, or like you have a healthy heart or something?
Yeah, I think like overall, if your stress is higher, then that's more of an issue.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I just noticed like stress and eating and health go, like, I noticed like I didn't work for a couple of years. I was going to the gym all the time. I felt really healthy. I was doing things, and I started to get a job. I started getting stressed. I started to do less, not because of the time, but just because I felt like I just didn't feel like doing it. I had the time. I just feel like I sat around more.
Yeah.
It's interesting that stress gets you worked up, but then it makes you do less. It's strange to me.
Yeah. And I mean, it goes back to those hormones, right? And this stress on your adrenal glands of producing that much cortisol to cope with that added stress, that cortisol is going to throw off those other hormones in your body. It's going to make you more tired. It's going to, cortisol and melatonin work in opposition. So you want cortisol to be high in the morning so that it's your like get up and go hormone to get out of bed. And then you want cortisol to drop by 10 p.m. at night so that you're not like, your mind's not racing. You want to calm the mind down. Okay. And then melatonin should be baseline throughout the day so that you're not groggy. And then once it starts to get dark, that's going to raise so that you can sleep, right?
Oh my God.
So once there's stress,
yeah,
then it throws off everything else.
Sure. I'm trying to pretty emphasize the amount what stress can do, because I mean I noticed in my life stress is heavy on like everything you do, like even with this podcast, like I get stressed, I just don't want to do it sometimes. Yeah. But then I just go and I want to eat instead to forget, because I mind like eating, it helps you forget about things you have. Like if I have something to do at work, I'll go and eat to forget about it. It's really crazy how like that connection with food can just, and it gets triggered by so many things. Yeah. Stress is bad in the body. Right. So meditating. Do you meditate? I try to. Yeah. It's not part of my like daily routine, but when I do get overwhelmed or things are picking up, then I do try and step away and meditate. Right. What are the things? Yeah, I didn't even ask. I mean, what's about you? No, like, so how do you? Do you follow a specific diet? Do you just make sure you're you look healthy. So I would assume you eat like a regular diet and exercise, and just like everything volume, like everything's like.
I have to practice what I preach, right?
Yeah, right. That's so. I'm gonna be rude here. I think sometimes when I go to the gym, I see a personal trainer. I'm like, use your own advice.
Yeah.
It's like tough, right? I mean, I get it. I mean, not everyone's the same, but that's how that's I guess an example of how hard it is for everyone, a lot of us, to stay on that food and no stress, that thing, right? You can be a lot of doctors smoke.
Yeah.
Or used to anyway, because it's too stressful. Like it's interesting to hear from an expert to what they do. Yeah. Because if you don't practice what you preach, it's obvious sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. And like, are people going to trust me and what I'm trying to help them with if they don't see me as being that positive example in their life? Yeah. I was vegetarian for I think about 5 years. Oh, okay. So that for most of basically half of my undergrad and then half of naturopathic school, I was vegetarian. I'm not anymore. So my diet, like, that's the other thing, is that once you pick a diet, it doesn't mean that you have to stick with that forever, right? Like,
I mean, a lot of diets are like, I don't want to see animals get tortured, so I'm not going to eat meat. So if that's the way you are, that's fine. You stay that way until you if you decide to go back, that seems a bit strange. But if you're eating it for health reasons just because, it's going back and forth shouldn't be an issue. Right. Yeah. But yeah, like I eat meat now, but when I do, I try to make sure that it is like organic, grass-fed. It's like good quality meats. Because I mean, I guess it's the same thing as like whatever the cow eats, you're eating. So the cow's eating, like grain or like food that's made for it. It's not like, but it's eating grass. I mean, you're keeping the natural cycle going. Yeah. Right. And like a lot of dairy is pumped with antibiotics. Gosh, yeah. Right. So doing like a nice organic grass-fed beef versus a grain-fed still is gonna, that's better for you. Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. But so what made you switch from vegetarianism to meatism? I think I was in my 3rd year of medicine and I was really tired. I was like starting to burn out with school. And so then how does somebody, you said that, sorry, I'm not trying to debunk you here. I just tipped my brain. So I was trying to end this thing. So how does, if that's the case though, how can we say that somebody can still function at the high level of an athlete type thing if they're only eating vegetables compared to eating, like, were you not like focusing on the food you're eating enough to get that balance, to not feel tired? No, I was definitely like, I had a well-rounded diet. Yeah. But I was working out quite a bit too. And then just the demands of school, we had exams every single day. Right. Then we were in clinic, so I'm face to face with patients, and it just became, I think I had always had low iron too. So just gradually over time, it got to the point where it was affecting me more than it had initially. Okay. So I guess it does come down to the fact that if you want to do that vegetarian stuff, you really need to be eating a lot more, and there's so much more effort into the meal planning and what you're eating to get all that same rounded out nutrients and keep you going. Right. Or like manage the other stresses in your life too, right? Like I'm less stressed now than I was during the program. School's crazy, and stress does crazy things to the body. It is interesting because, like I said before, stress just seems to slow us down. It makes us feel like we don't want to do stuff, and the things that would fix our stress, like working out, like using our brains, we don't want to do because we're too tired to do it, too stressed to do it. It's such a fight. It seems so bizarre. Yeah. I don't know. We're all trying though, I guess, right? Yeah. Yeah, you can just do the best you can, right? Yeah, a little bit at a time. Yeah. Okay, cool. I don't know. I guess it's been like an hour and 20 minutes or so. It goes by pretty fast. Yeah. I appreciate you coming. It's great. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Yeah, it was a good chat for sure. I'll have you on again. That was fun. Hopefully I can just kind of I've been taking mental notes, but yeah, it's good to have like a baseline, and I hope, I think a lot of people are just always questioning what to do, and so obviously didn't answer all the questions, but I feel like I was curious about it, and after just eating a pretty healthy smoothie and feeling pretty sick after, I was like, this is the perfect day to talk, because I was like, I had nothing but vegetables. I feel gross. Yeah. So do you want to plug your business at all? Like, I don't know. I mean, some people see this. But yeah, where can people find you, or what should they look for? Yeah, I'm currently working at the Ivy Health Center down in Yaletown, right downtown Vancouver. Okay. You can come see me there. I work Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Okay. And have
an Instagram page, which is dr.kayleedreger.nd.
Sure, I'll put that in the description.
Perfect.
Yeah, for sure.
Thanks.
And you said so one more thing, you just said you were doing talks for a local camp up in Pemberton.
Yeah.
Is that something you do regularly, nutritional talks?
Yeah, it's not like a weekly thing, but
something you want to do more of, you like it?
Yeah, I mean, education is a huge part of the process. If people know why they're doing something, their buy-in to it is going to be that much higher. They're going to stick with that stick with whatever you're recommending them.
Cool.
And then my clinic in the city, the IV, we're starting talks in September once a month.
Okay.
As well.
At the clinic?
Right at the clinic.
Okay,
Yeah.
Cool. Sweet. Is there a website? Is it ivclinic.com?
The iv.ca.
The iv.ca.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's great to chat with you. It's really
Yeah.
cool. Yeah, we'll have you back again.
Awesome.
Cool.
Part 2
Thanks.
coming
High
up.
five. Great. Yeah, that helps me sync the audio and do that. So perfect. Okay. Thanks everyone for listening and watching.